Hello there. I'm looking at Red Steel 2 today. Man, I have got to tell you guys, this game has blown me away. The first Red Steel was frankly a piece of hot crap, garbage. I really didn't care for it, but Red Steel 2 is this is the Wii game. This is the peak game, and the thing is I've had it in my library for years and I've never played it because it was like, oh, it's at the end of the generation. I had moved on to other things by then, and this was like one of the last games to come out on the Wii, at least in my mind. And I just never got around to it. I thought, oh, it's cool. They took Red Steel 1, but they took all the gunplay and the swordplay. They made it cel shaded. They like stylized it. And, like, it looks cool, but I just was so burned by the last game. I just couldn't play this. And I'm playing it now in like, the 2020s, and it is so freaking good. Um, it's like we needed a whole generation of bad Wii games and Wii concepts to get a good one. This is a game that feels like the Wii commercials with the guy swinging around the sword and shooting with his gun. It feels so good, so fluid, and so natural. I cannot hype this game up enough, and I know that a lot of people aren't going to play this simply because it needs a Wii Motion Plus to even play. And at this point, the Wii and the Wii U are kind of like old consoles. No one really has them anymore, or everyone has them, I guess, technically, since everyone bought them. Um, but I have to tell you, like, this game is way more fun than modern games. Can you like it does, like, they can't even touch this game. It's pure gameplay. Very few cutscenes, but the cutscenes there are, they're very intense. There's like one QTE section, which weirdly never happens ever again in the game. Like, you think they'd reuse it, but no, it only happens once. And the game itself, it's very much, there's not a huge story. You're some cowboy, Kusuragi guy. Your clan is under attack in Japan slash America land. And so all the characters are basically Asian, but they're in a cowboy setting. And yeah, there's really not a huge intense story here. There's not really, you're just trying to like defend your clan and help your people, but you do not need a story when the gameplay is this smooth and this good. I literally can't get over how the Wii Motion Plus, it was the missing component that developers needed to actually know how to make games properly. Because with the original Wii, you could only really detect vertical and horizontal hits. Here, you actually have omnidirectional targeting, so it knows if your Wiimote is facing on a diagonal, straight above, directly at the screen, behind you. Like, it actually knows where it is from the sensors. And so I feel cheated a little bit. I always thought that the Wii was made for third-person shooters ever since my experience with Resident Evil 4, but this game has completely changed my mind. It is such a fluid, interesting concept, and I might as well go into the gameplay now of it and how it works, which is that, so you have, of course, the reticle on the screen, and that's your gun reticle. So whatever you're aiming at, you will shoot using the B button, which is your gun. However, if you swing at anything, it becomes your sword. And I don't know how they got this to work, that it knows when you're swinging that your reticle, even though the reticle at the edge of the screen moves the screen, it doesn't go crazy when you swing your sword. It somehow understands when you're doing a large motion like that, you stay kind of centered in a way. And I always thought that that mechanic in the original Red Steel was really bad, because you would aim at the corner of the screen and you would try to like steady it, and it was just very unstable. I remember the first Red Steel also, just the reticle would like jitter all over the place, and sniping was pretty much impossible. It was a total no-go. But in this case, it feels very focused, very accurate, and moving the screen by pointing the cursor at it feels actually really good. The other thing that is interesting is that you have 4 different weapons: a pistol, shotgun, lever action rifle, and Tommy gun, essentially. And you, using a combination of certain things, do upgrades. And so throughout the campaign, you get points. And that's the other thing that I really like about this. Similar to No More Heroes, every time you kill a guy or do a big mission, you get all these coins and points or whatever. and use that to upgrade your weapons, upgrade your gun, learn new sword moves and stuff. And even the sword moves in this game, even though there are probably a dozen of them, I felt like it wasn't hard to remember them. It was very easy to remember them. There's a few variations. Obviously, if you can do a light swing, a heavy swing, you actually have to swing wider. And you used A as your agility. And so there'd be certain things where if you would dodge the side and swing, that would make a side swipe around an enemy. You could dodge backwards, and then if you went horizontal or vertically, that would do a power attack. If you dodged forward and jab, that would do like a swinging jab. There's another one where if you held A and B, it would power up your sword, and depending on the direction you swing, you would do like a ground pound, like an energy thing, or like a high time where you shove the enemy into the air, which is really cool, and then you can shoot them in slow motion. This game is really, really cool, and it feels really, really good, and the responsiveness of the rumble, the tech, everything just feels super, super good. The other thing that really, really struck me is also the audio design of this game. I think it's maybe underappreciated, but from setting the tone to the battles and the mood, I remember just having to listen to the theme when you first come to the ghost town and being honestly entranced. It was one of those moments in games where you actually slow down and you stop. And the ghost town was actually really interesting because the background or the skybox was like hyper realistic clouds that were moving way faster than they normally would, almost in a time lapse sense, and it was super, super surreal. And because of that, I just took the time to just pause and stop and appreciate this atmosphere that this game was giving me. This game has major, major atmosphere. And I forgot what a real action game felt like without cutscenes, without other characters to like it, just pure action. And something else I forgot, another major aspect of the gameplay is that when you damage an enemy enough or use a certain move on them, they'll have a killing move above their head. And it'll either be a side to side, jab, or whatever. And it's very easy usually to tell exactly what kind of attack you need to do to finish them off. And they always have very cool finishers. The easiest one being to shoot them in the legs and then doing a side swipe to knock them out. It feels almost like Resident Evil Mercenaries in that sense, where you can shoot the zombies and then do a follow-up melee attack. It feels really, really good though. Yeah, Red Steel 2 is an absolute underrated gem. Like 100%, this game deserves way more attention, way more love for what it is. It's ridiculously good. And when I was playing it, I kind of thought, okay, well, here's the last game in my Wii library. I might as well get it done with, right? And I ended up being like, oh, I'm playing this. I'm really, really into this. And something that I thought might be a 5-minute experiment or experience turned into the full game of 15 or so hours. It's just it's ridiculously good. I was like, this can't be this good, but it kept impressing me, giving me more weapons and more powers and more progress. It just felt so good. And yeah, the atmosphere, it's really, really good. And even when you do a mission, it gives you like this, cowboy whistle thing. Like, this makes me feel more like a cowboy than Red Dead Redemption. This is honestly insane how fun, how cool, and what a good concept this game finally is. I remember the first Red Steel, it was a great concept, sword gunplay. It just did not work. And here it finally works. The actual idea is realized and finalized in this game, and I absolutely am floored by it. And I'm playing this maybe 10 years after, more than 10 years after it came out. And now it's like playing catch up. Like, oh wow, there was actually a really good Wii game more than 10 years ago, and it's just really good. It's also more pertinent now playing this because this was published by Ubisoft, and all the staff are French. They're all, Ubisoft France. And just looking at the state, the absolute state of the quality of this game versus what Ubisoft makes 10 years later on is night and day. It is astounding how well scoped and focused and action oriented this game is. Now their other games are just downright awful. if I told you the studio that made this 10 years from now would be in dire consequences because they didn't know how to make games anymore or only made bad games, I would not believe you, because this is so innovative and so smart and so fun and so action paced that it's incomprehensible to me how that happened. Um, but yeah, that's kind of another story entirely. What I also like about the game itself is the environments are, everything's cell shaded, so it has a certain style to it. The main character's design is so cool. It's like a trench coat, but it has this whole um like this double button vested thing. Like, it looks like a cowboy style thing, but it has its own futuristic desert punk design to it that's really cool and really nifty. Um the other thing about the environments, there's lots of explosive barrels, which are a must for a game like this. There are certain tokens you can find that are hidden around the environment. Lots of boxes and barrels to destroy to get extra coins and cash. There's also these lockers that you need to shoot open, wooden lockers that you need to cut the rope open with your sword to open. And there's also this safe mini game, which was surprisingly intuitive, where essentially you hold the Wiimote and you tilt it like a safe, and you will listen for a certain sound, and you press A 3 times in a row for 3 times on each one, and then that opens it, and you get a little reward essentially. The other thing that's also probably my favorite thing is that, similar to Resident Evil 4, there's these little sheriff stars that are glowing like orange in the environment, and they're usually off in far away hidden places, and if you shoot those, you get extra points. Those were actually my favorite things. They were a nice collectible Easter egg where you're going through the environment, and there was always that element of discovery there, that, oh, you never know, in some far off panoramic vista in the corner there might actually be a little point thing to get. And it always felt really fun to be like, oh yeah, I was smart enough to find that. Yeah. So the environments themselves, they're also pretty interactive, pretty destructive. They also have pretty efficient ladders in this game. I know that's a weird thing to say, but when you have a certain area where you have to go up, the guy almost just flies up the thing, and they just put speed lines over the screen, so you're not, waiting for someone to realistically climb ladders, because that's super boring. Just the little things like that. Also, in each area, yeah, it's kind of story based, but the world doesn't really matter. Once you exit an area, it does give you this warning that, hey, you're going to the point of no return. And so the only point of that is that you might miss certain side quests that give you extra money that you can use to upgrade your weapons. And the side quests in each area might be, destroy 10 vehicles, or take out 3 Kutaragi clans. The enemies themselves, there's kind of like the grunts who have no armor. Then the Katakari or Katakara, who are the rival gang or the rival clan, and they have armor and more kind of stuff and moves and whatever. And then you finally have the ninjas, and the ninjas are they usually tend to use firearms more so, but they're super agile and they're very hard to hit. So that's what makes them super annoying. So you have the 3 different kinds of classes. For the bosses, pretty, I don't know, standard stuff. You have the opening boss, Pain. You just, take out kind of normally. The second boss is Shinjiro. First time, then Okagi or something. And so you have to fight him twice, and then the final boss is Shinjiro again, essentially. And yeah, I don't know how to feel about the boss fights, because part of it, when you first do them, it's like you're super overwhelmed and you have no idea what to do. And then once you, start using the right strategy, the bosses almost become too easy, which is to use guns and swords at the same time. And so I fought the battle for boss, and I got my ass handed to me 3 times out of 4. And the 4th time, I just killed him with more than half my health left. I had no idea how I did that. So One of my favorite upgrades in this, my favorite weapon is the Winchester, hands down. In every game with the Winchesters, I always going for that. And I love how its ultimate final upgrades that you get explosive rounds. That feels so good. The ammo in this game was a little bit weird in that it was very hard to find ammo for shotgun, the rifle, and the submachine gun throughout the campaign. It was very scarce and scattered around, which means you're not supposed to use it a lot. But they gave you tons of ammo for the main revolver. So it's kind of showing you that. I mean, the main revolver honestly should have just had unlimited ammo, because that's kind of what they made it feel like. That behind every single box there was magnum ammo. So your main your main pistol was the main thing they wanted you to use. I even used to clear away debris instead of using my sword, just because I always had ammo in it, and that's kind of like by design. They even had like this Red Dead Redemption like Deadeye mode where you can hold down the fire button and select a bunch of enemies and fire like that. So they even have something like that in there. But yeah, for something that combines a samurai cowboy aesthetic and gameplay, this game nails it, and it's on the Wii of all things. I really can't express or come to a point to express how cool that is and how amazing it feels. But yeah, this is something that I really wish some people were able to experience, and sadly I don't think that's just not really going to be the case. Simply because the Wii and the Wii U, I mean, you need a specific kind of Wiimote to even play this, and emulating it does not do it justice. To actually swing the remote and feel like you're actually that stupid guy in the commercials, it honestly feels it feels amazing. It feels like, oh wow, this actually feels like a real game. And again, it came at the end of the Wii's lifespan. It was just so bittersweet in a way. And yeah, I just had this game sitting on my shelf. It was like, oh, this is the last Wii game I have in my collection. I just forgot about it because I thought, oh, it's probably not going to be good because the first one was so bad. And this was a very pleasant surprise to run through my backlog, look at all the modern games that I hate playing and playing something that I honestly couldn't get enough of. It was so good. I wish there was more of it. I think it was more or less the right length, but I would not mind extra bonus levels or whatever. There is a challenge mode, but it's really weird. It's replaying the same story missions along with the side quests in them. It acts as a level select because at the end of the game you you can't load any levels, so every time you continue game, it just brings you to the final boss, which is fine, I guess. But yeah, it shows how even there are some things pretty restrained or constricted on this system. Yeah, I don't know, the levels are pretty good. You go from like a town to like a train to a canyon to a mine, and then finally this giant rooftop temple. So yeah, this game just has style. It also looks like Borderlands, but it plays like a much better game. Everything's just super stylish. I think this was also around the time when they did Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, and I kind of feel that energy here. Just the rule of cool, and that's really what is missing from games now. And playing this is like a slap to the face, where this game is just super cool. It's not trying to impress anyone or do anything. It's just trying to be super cool and stylistic and everything. And it's honestly a dream game. It is so super cool. I really love it. I appreciate it a lot, and just fun to play. And I can't remember the last time I played something that was just pure fun from start to finish. So this is going on in my top, maybe my top 50 somewhere. In terms of pure gameplay style games, this is an absolute must try. You really do need to give this a shot. Sometime, somewhere, if you still have a Wii, if you have a Wii Motion Plus, if you find Red Steel 2, I am begging you to play this game, because this is mechanically perhaps one of the best Wii games on the system. And with that being said, I will leave you guys and see you guys later. Bye.